Hey guys! Okay, so this video is going to be pretty different from my normal videos. See, most of the time I record some gaming footage, slap some music on it, and hope that the video rendering doesn't take 5 hours. But this time I thought I should actually make something helpful, so I'm making a guide on how to play Domination in War Robots. Okay, so I know that most of you will already know what I'm going to talk about, but I still get surprised by people in Champions League, like people in the top league, top players are making these mistakes. So first off, War Robots has around 5 different active game modes: Free-for-all, Domination, Beacon Rush, Team Deathmatch, and Skirmish. Rest in peace, King of the Hill. Alright, enough tears. When I recorded this, there wasn't an active skirmish, so I'll just put a picture of the icon of what it would look like if it was there. Almost all of these game modes revolve around 6v6 player fights, with free-for-all being the exception. Today's video topic will be Domination, but if I get I don't know, random number off the top of my head, 10 likes. If I get 10 likes on this video, I will make another for a different game mode. So, Domination, it's the original game mode from back when this game was known as Walking War Robots, and it has 2 win conditions that I will go into detail in a second. The first one is you need to capture all the beacons and deplete the enemy's beacon bar before your beacon bar reaches 0. And then the other win condition is botting out your opponents. So the first win condition is specific only to Domination and Beacon Rush. If you look at the top center of your screen when you spawn in, you'll notice a timer. It starts with a 10-second countdown, and then when the game starts, you will have 10 minutes counting down to win. To the left of the timer, there's going to be a blue bar with, hopefully, 6 blue figures right next to it. That bar is your beacon bar, and it should be full as the game starts. And the figures next to that beacon bar are you and your teammate. Remember this, as we will get back to it later. To the right of the timer will be a mirror of the blue bar and the figures, but instead of being blue, it's going to be red. So it's going to be a red bar and 6 red figures. These are the enemy team's stats. Underneath the timer and the bars, you will notice 5 circled letters. So these are the icons for the beacons you need to capture. A, B, C, D, and E. You will note that when you spawn on the maps, there's going to be 5 white beams of light coming from the map of all different distances and locations. These are the beacons you need to capture. The way most maps and spawning points are set up generally give 2 beacons to each team, and then put 1 beacon in the center of the map equidistant from both spawn points. Side note, if you play in squads and communicate through voice chats, the first 2 beacons are generally called home beacons. They're further divided into home left and home right. Right and left are determined by where the beacons are when you spawn. So when you spawn, if you look to your left, that is home left. And if you look to your right, that is home right. This doesn't work for every map, including Moon Carrier and a few others, because the way the map and beacons are placed is a little bit different. And then the beacon in the center is called the center beacon. And the enemy home beacons are generally called far beacons, so you will have far left and far right, to be more precise. Alright, that's the end of my side note. Back to capturing beacons. When you first spawn, every beacon will be white, and there will be a circle at the base of each beacon. This will be the radius and range at which you need to be to capture this beacon. If you are inside of the circle, or if you are hitting the line of the circle, like if one of the robot feet is on that line and you're going into it, you are helping to capture that beacon. It generally takes 5 seconds to turn a white beacon blue. This will be faster the more teammates are inside the beacon circle with you. To capture an enemy beacon, you will first need to turn it white and then blue. So this will take 10 seconds if you are uninterrupted. You can tell how close you are to capturing a beacon by looking at the encircled letters underneath the timer. And so as you capture a beacon, that circle will slowly fill up clockwise, whichever color that team is capturing it. If you step off of the beacon before it's turned completely one color, it's going to slowly lose its progress at the same speed that you were capturing it, but it will only go back to white. It's not going to turn into the enemy team beacon. However, if both you and an enemy step on the beacon, the capture progress will stop. So if you were capturing a beacon and you were halfway to turning it blue, and an enemy steps on it, then that beacon will be stuck at halfway to blue. Until either you get off of it and then the enemy will start capturing it, or if the enemy gets off of it. So there are only 2 exceptions for when the beacons will not turn color, even if you are in range and it is just you. One is if you phase shift, and 2 is if you are in a Ravana and you use the Transcendent ability. Doing either of these things will cause the progress made on capturing the beacon to go back down. Now, what do you do after capturing beacons? Well, that's what the beacon bar is for. So for each beacon your team controls, it will degrade the beacon bar of the enemy team. So if you control 2 beacons and the enemy controls 3 beacons, then your bar will go down faster than theirs. Both bars go down, but yours will go faster. If the bar reaches 0, so if there's 0 color left before the timer ends, the team who still has a beacon bar will win. If the timer ends before a beacon bar is fully depleted, then whichever team has a smaller bar will lose. This will make some domination games feel very slow, especially if each team controls 2 beacons and the center one is going back and forth from blue to red to blue to red. But it can also be, over in the blink of an eye, there are 2 situations that you want to try to create, but you don't want them to happen to you. You want to avoid them happening to you at all costs. A 4 cap and a 5 cap. A 4 cap is when one team controls 4 beacons. It degrades the beacon bar really fast, and it's very hard to recover if the other team doesn't deal with it immediately. And if you aren't careful, or you have a very unlucky game, then the game can actually end in 2 minutes if the enemy team or your team captures all 5 beacons. So this is called a 5 cap. Beacons are the #1 way to win domination, but there is the other way. When a game starts, each player has a set number of robots. In the higher leagues, everyone should have 5 robots and 1 Titan. If you're an upper expert, masters, or champions league and you do not have 5 robots and a Titan, you need to fix that right away, because that is the most important thing for gameplay, for winning. Botting a team out is when a certain team can no longer spawn robots due to not having any, or if people in that team left the game. In lower leagues, it is probably easier to bot out the enemy team, but in higher leagues, it is much more difficult, as you need to kill 36 robots to bot out a full team. If a team is botted, the game will end, and the team that still has players on the field will win regardless of what the beacon bar says. One thing that players should remember, though, is that it takes 10 seconds for the game to end once a team has botted out. So, if a team bots out, but they deplete their opponent's beacon bar within that 10-second time frame, they can still potentially win. Alright, so I know that this was pretty in detail and many of you already knew how to play Domination, but I hope that I gave at least some of you some more insight on how this game mode works. Just to recap, Domination is 2 teams of 6 players. They spawn on the opposite sides of the map. They need to turn beacons from white to blue and from red to blue. The more beacons a team controls, the higher chance they have of winning, and the other way to win is to bot out the opposite team by destroying all of their robots and titans. Thank you for watching, hope this was helpful, and I will see you all in the next video. Maybe.